One day, a monster appears in the forest named Yohei, who is originally half human and half beast. There is an old man in the forest hunting, and he aims an arrow toward Yohei, but Yohei jumps down from the tree and tells him, "I don't think my meat will taste good to you." The old man gets surprised when Yohei speaks and says, "I thought you were an animal and turned out to be just a beast like a cat with white fur and working as a mercenary. But I heard rumors about you, that they call you the Black Calamity Beast, because you wiped out a whole gang alone." Yohei replies, "You are wrong, I'm not the person you are talking about." The old man says, "I hope they put an end to the witches who corrupt the land, because chaos has filled the forest lately." Yohei asks him if the boars are still rampaging in the forest, and the old man replies, "Yes, even the insects and animals too." He gives Yohei food in exchange for trying to hunt the witches, and a witch appears chasing Yohei in the forest trying to kill him. She aims her arrow at him, but it passes beside him, and she breaks the ground he walks on, and he falls down into the forest, and he finds a girl named Zero preparing food. But when Yohei falls on her, he ruins the food she is making. She angrily tells him she spent a long time preparing this food, and he replies that's not the important thing now. Zero responds, "Is there a bigger problem than this?" At the same time, an arrow passes by them shot by the witch, so Yohei tells Zero this is the bigger problem, and he carries her on his shoulder and runs. Zero asks him, "Why are you carrying me? And why is someone chasing you? What did you do?" He replies, "Do witches need a reason to hunt beasts?" So Zero jumps off his shoulder and lands. She defeats the witch, chasing them easily with her magic, and Yohei gets surprised by Zero's extraordinary abilities, and asks her, "You're a witch too?" She replies, "Yes, a witch, and I can do anything." So he gets shocked and runs away after discovering she's a witch. He sits somewhere preparing food, and while distracted looking at the map, he finds Zero sitting in front of him eating from his food. Yohei gets startled and stands asking her, "What are you doing here?" She replies, "You ruined my food first and should give me yours instead." Yohei gets angry and tells her, "This is my food and I won't give it to a witch," and he takes the food and leaves. She stops him and tells him she admires his human face. So Yohei stops and asks her, "You can see my human face?" She replies, "I wouldn't be a witch if I couldn't see the true face of the hybrid." Yohei says hybrid. She explains that witches fused animal souls with humans to make strong soldiers, and during the war they could create 1,000,000 hybrid soldiers, and Zero threatens Yohei that if he doesn't give her the food now she'll use her sorcery on him. He tells her, "Do whatever you want," and leaves, so she begs him to give her food and says she's been preparing her food since morning and he ruined it. Yohei comes back, feels sorry, and gives her from his food. Yohei asks her, "What brought you here?" Zero asks for more food and tells him, "Give me more food and I'll answer you," so Yohei gives her again. She tells him she is searching for a man named 13 who is on a mission to solve some problems, but he hasn't returned and she doesn't know anything about him. Yohei says if he is one of the evil ones who want to destroy the state, then I definitely won't help him. Zero replies, "And why would he do something boring like that?" and explains that 13 is looking for a book stolen from him, and there's only one copy of it. And if it falls into someone's hands, a disaster will happen. Yohei asks her what kind of disaster could happen. Zero replies, "The end of the world." Yohei mocks her words. She offers Yohei to join her on her journey and be her personal guard. He says, "And I'm supposed to accept that. I came here to kill witches and you want me to protect one of them." She tells him she will do something for him in return, and he replies, "I don't want anything. All of you are traitors. Witches and thieves don't stop hunting me. Because of my look and body, my whole life is chaos. Even humans reject me and tell me stay away from us." Zero asks him, "Do you want to become human again?" Yohei asks, "Can you do that?" She says, "It's very easy. But will you protect me in return?" He asks, "Aren't you trying to use me to kill me?" She replies, "If I wanted to do that, I would have done it long ago." Zero tells him, "If you doubt me, then I will write a contract with the blood of a witch. And keep in mind, this contract is absolute. Anyone who breaks it will die." Yohei gets shocked by her words, and she tells him, "Don't worry, as long as you don't break the contract, nothing will happen to you." And Zero takes blood from her hand and from Yohei's hand and writes the contract. Yohei asks her, "Why did you choose me? Though traveling with me will draw more attention to you," and she tells him that means attention on me will decrease. Yohei asks, "Aren't you afraid of me?" She replies, "What's there to fear? You have wonderful fur and sharp eyes and a gentle mouth that looks always smiling." And Zero finishes writing the contract and tells him burning the contract will activate it. Yohei takes the contract and tears it, saying he doesn't need all that, and he extends his hand into hers and tells her this is our mercenary way, and then asks her about her name, so she says, "My name is Zero," and he says, "My name is." And before he says it, she tells him, "I'm not interested, I'll call you by mercenary because names are important to witches, and if I know your real name, I'll make you my obedient servant instantly." Yohei remembers when he entered a whole gang and killed them, but suddenly wakes up from sleep and finds Zero sleeping on him, so he gets startled and throws her. Zero tells him it's cold and I need your fur to warm me, so he says, "Wake up and enough sleeping now," and they sit sit and prepare food. While eating, Zero is holding Yohei's map and tells him about the place where 13 might be, and they move after that. While walking, Yohei asks her what kind of books could destroy the world. Zero asks him what he knows about sorcery, and he replies that you draw strange circles and summon the devil and make weird things happen. She tells him the witch chasing him yesterday throwing arrows. That was magic, not sorcery. And Zero looks at him and tells him she's surprised how a beast like him shows such gentle features, and Zero stops while walking and draws circles and performs sorcery. At the same time, a wild boar appears, so she decides to show Yohei the sorcery on that boar, and she says some words and ropes rise from the ground, tying the boar and knocking it down. Then she releases it and lets it go, and a child named Albus appears on a tree, so Zero hits him and makes him fall from the tree. Zero discovers he is the one who made the boar attack them with his magic, so Albus tries to cast magic again on Zero, but Zero stops him and ties him and knocks him to the ground, and she asks him where did you learn magic from, so he replies he learned it from the group of witches from Zero, so she tells him I am Zero and I am the one who wrote that book. The child introduces himself and tells her my name is Albus, so Zero explains to him the specifications of the book she is looking for. He tells her that he knows where this book is, so Yohei asks him where this book is, and he replies it is in our hideout. Zero asks him to take her there, so Albus says you can use magic and that makes you our ally, right? She tells him I told you before I wrote the book, so of course I know how to use magic. Albus replies, but they told me our leader wrote it, so Yohei asks him who is the leader? He says you don't know him. He is the one who spread magic across Winias and fights evil for peace. Zero asks Albus if the hideout is near, and he says the entrance is hidden in the village Latite on the road leading to Formicum. She asks him, is that village famous for something? He replies, yes, famous for walnut bread, its taste is delicious. They move heading to the village, and Yohei asks Zero, are you sure it's okay to lie to the child and say you're his ally? She replies, I didn't lie, I said I wrote the book, and smiled. I don't know how this child believed, and she tells him if she told him the truth his reaction might be bad. The child stops and calls out to Yohei and says, hey grandpa. So Yohei stops, surprised by the word grandpa, and they go to a water spring to drink from it. Albus sits and talks about Serena, who was one of the greatest witches, and that her granddaughter joined the group of witches of Zero. Yohei mocks Albus while he talks, so Albus gets angry at him, and he returns to drink water and finds a ring fallen in the water. Zero offers him to wear the ring, but he refuses at first, and she tells him maybe this ring belonged to a wizard long ago, and maybe it will help you when you wear it, so Albus gets convinced and wears the ring, and Albus says his magic is weak and he needs to offer a strong sacrifice, and he asks Yohei to give him his hand, so Yohei gets angry at him and tells him shut up and hits him on the head. They continue their way to the village and meet on the road a man with a horse cart, and he asks Yohei if he is going to help the kingdom kill the witches, so Yohei replies yes, I will help them. The man thanks him and says they have caused a lot of chaos lately and markets have no sales because of them, and he says I had a good relationship with witches when I was young and my grandfather always took medicine from Serena, and he tells them they will find his village on their way and will welcome them very much, and he gives them tomatoes from what he has and tells them to continue eliminating the witches and leaves. They arrive and meet the village chief, and he tells them there is an abandoned house outside the village they can stay in. So Yohei says we don't mind even if we sleep in a stable. So the chief tells him he heard that beasts are professional witch hunters and hopes you can help us. On their way to the abandoned house, Yohei tells the chief he thought the chief would be an old man. So the chief replies to Yohei, I was a mercenary like you until I got shot by an arrow in the knee, and he shows them the number of people killed from the village because of the witches, and he shows them the house they will stay in and tells them they can do whatever they want there, and if they need anything go to the old lady in the house next to them. Suddenly the old lady comes out of the house and says her ring is lost, and one of those standing says wish Serena was here now. So the chief tells her don't say that again because that breaks the village laws, and that Serena is a traitor. Albus raises his hand with the ring, and it turns out to be the grandmother's ring. So the chief grabs it strongly thinking he stole it. Zero tells him he misunderstood they found this ring in the water spring, but the chief doesn't believe her and asks his men to bring a rope to tie Albus until he investigates the matter. Zero tells him if he stole the ring, why would he ask you to stay in your village? And one says I bet you also stole these tomatoes, and Albus gets angry because of their talk about Serena, so the villagers get shocked and realize he is a wizard, and Albus defends Serena, and the chief orders his men to catch him, but Yohei blocks them and gets wounded in his arm, and hits them in the chief and takes Zero and Albus and escapes quickly, and Yohei tells Albus he is stupid because he talked about Serena and let them know he is a wizard, and that could have caused their death. On the other side, the chief orders his men to gather to hunt the witches, and Yohei and Zero sit somewhere to rest, and Albus goes out to get some air, and Zero treats Yohei's wound because he got injured when blocking the men in the village, and Yohei asks Zero, does magic take time to be ready to use? She replies there are rituals that can take a year to complete, and she asks him if the treatment is comfortable or not, so he replies the child outside can do it easily, and he asks her if she believes Serena really spread the plagues. She tells him you are asking a witch and expect her to answer you. So he says then who should I ask? So Zero tells him are you gonna ask me a lot like this all the time? He replies if you want me to shut up I will. So she tells him no, I'm happy talking with you. And she tells him the possibility that Serena spread some plagues is very small because witches use magic to trade with the local people for clothes and food, so there is no benefit in doing that. And if the village got any disease the witches would lose everything. So Yohei says so it was a misunderstanding that she used sorcery at the same time plagues were spreading. And Albus comes in and tells them the weather outside is nice. But suddenly Yohei senses the presence of the chief's men who want to kill them, and he takes them and they try to escape. And they find a cave, so Yohei says I think we can rest here a little. But suddenly they find two men coming out attacking them from the chief's men. But Zero uses her magic and puts them to sleep. So Yohei gets angry at her for using her magic, and they hide, but the men are close to them, and they see someone coming to them, and it turns out to be the old lady who tells them to follow her quickly, and she shows them the way they can escape without anyone reaching them. And Yohei tells her I'm surprised you could find our place. So she replies I think Zero knows, and the old lady tells them she used his fur hair to reach them, and Zero tells them the old lady is a powerful witch but hides her power, and Albus gives her back her ring. And the old lady tells them that years ago Serena gave her this ring and told her to live in a village among humans and not show that she knows witches, and the people of that village caught Serena and hung her and burned her with fire. And Zero tells her she wished to meet Serena, and the old lady apologizes to Albus that the villagers accused him of stealing the ring, and the old lady bids them farewell and they continue their way. On the road Yohei tells Zero that he wishes to become human again to get rid of this fur because it annoys him in the heat, and Albus calls to them and tells them to hurry because the gate of the city Forcum closes at sunset. So Yohei carries Zero and runs with her to arrive faster before sunset, and Albus says this is not fair and wants him to carry him too. And they reach the gate and Yohei shows the guards the entry permit and tells them he came here to help them catch the witches. And the guard asks about the two with him, what are they here to do? Yohei gets nervous and doesn't know how to answer, so Zero answers telling them that the two work for Yohei and serve him in anything he needs. And after they enter the city Yohei gets angry at them and hits them on their heads because of what they said. And Zero goes to look at the city and is amazed by it and happy she visited it. And Albus tells her the city is always lively because all merchants pass from here. Zero tells Yohei come on so we can take a tour in the city to look around and buy food. So he tells her before anything we need to solve your torn clothes first, because with this look we won't even find a stable to sleep in. And Albus mocks her and tells her really even slaves wear better clothes than that. And Yohei asks her if she has any other clothes besides these. And at the same time Albus is surprised how she moved from place to place with the same clothes. So she replies that she washed her clothes in any river she found and ate fruits from the trees. And during rain she hid in caves away from humans. So Yohei asks her if she has any money. So Zero takes out jewelry from her bag looking very expensive. So Yohei gets angry at her and tells her hide them quickly, you can't show them in front of people like that or they'll be stolen. And he tells her enough, even the smallest one among them could be sold to buy whatever you want. And Zero admires Yohei's honesty and that he didn't lie to her and could have said anything and taken the jewelry from her. And Albus tells Yohei you got scared when she took out the jewelry, so Yohei hits him on the head. They go afterward to a clothing shop and Zero chooses a dress and tries it on. But Yohei doesn't like it and tells her to look for something else lighter so it doesn't bother her on their trip. And the shop owner offers Zero another dress, but Yohei refuses too. So the shop owner gets angry at him and tells him to leave him alone, he is giving her the best thing. So Albus says it will be faster if they search themselves, and Zero chooses a dress and asks Yohei's opinion and he likes it, and Albus picks shoes that match it, but Zero tells him she usually walks barefoot to feel the ground. And Zero changes in the clothing shop and wears the new things she bought. And Yohei tells her to get rid of her old clothes, but Zero doesn't want to throw them away. So the shop owner offers her to exchange her old clothes for the new ones without paying extra. They go out from the clothing shop and walk around the city, and everyone is amazed by Yohei's attractive look. And Yohei tells them they must look for lodging first before anything. But most places refuse because Yohei is a beast. So Yohei is surprised they refuse even though the city has many beasts. So Zero asks him what's their problem with beasts. He replies that sometimes they transform and want to eat humans. And almost all beasts living here had such problems. And Yohei hears a girl screaming, so he goes to see what's happening and finds a beast scaring her, taking advantage that she is alone. And another beast comes and takes that girl who is his slave and leaves. And before leaving he tells Yohei that there is lodging here that accepts beasts and its price is not expensive. They arrive at the lodging where they will sleep, and Yohei and Albus take a room together, and Albus objects and doesn't want to sleep with Yohei and tells Yohei, aren't you afraid I cut off your head while you sleep? So Yohei tells him that's if you can. And he takes out a rope to tie him with, but Albus screams and asks Zero to help him, and they go down to the restaurant to eat, and Zero loves the food very much. and Zero asks Yohei to order pork, so he tells her order whatever you want, and they go back to their room again to sleep, but Yohei goes out after they sleep, and at the same time Zero is going to Yohei to tell him they should go walk around the city, but she doesn't find him in his room but catches him before he leaves, and they go sit somewhere to drink something, and Zero gets upset with him because he wanted to go out and see the city life at night without her, and the beast they met before who told them about the lodging they are staying in comes in and calls Yohei, but he ignores him and doesn't answer, so he calls him again, and Yohei replies telling him he has no place with them, so the beast approaches Zero and offers Yohei to trade her in exchange for the 3 witches with him, but Yohei refuses and says it won't work because he works with her, and the beast leaves and Zero tells Yohei those with him are not witches, and Yohei decides to go free the 3 girls the beast enslaved, and at the same moment the beast comes in and Yohei tells him those are not witches and you know that well, but he denies it, and Yohei asks him where did you get them from, and he replies from a village that hides witches and its people handed them to me, I didn't kidnap them, and Yohei asks him again to release them because they are normal girls not witches, and he knows witches well because they always hunt him. But the beast refuses again and says they are mine and I'm free with them. The beast offers Yohei a duel between them and whoever wins takes all the girls including Zero. And Zero says I agree, so Yohei gets angry at her and tells her don't speak on my behalf. You don't know what will happen to you if I lose. She replies to Yohei you won't lose for sure, and Yohei draws his sword and attacks the beast who tries to block his strikes. And the beast jumps to hit Yohei, but Yohei bites him hard on his arm and throws him to the ground and goes to put the sword on his neck to kill him, but the beast surrenders. And Yohei returns and frees the girls and tells them they can escape or do whatever they want now, and they return to the lodging again, and Yohei sleeps and wakes up the next day to Albus screaming when he finds Zero sleeping on him and gets angry at them. Yohei goes down to bathe and clean himself so insects don't enter his body, and Zero sees him and tells him it's hard for such a huge body to stay clean and helps him clean his back. There are little children standing watching Yohei's massive body, but Yohei yells at them so they get scared and run away, and Zero is surprised by his reaction, and Yohei tells her he did that so they don't get used to getting close to any beast. Albus comes and sees Yohei after he bathed and finds him shrunken because of his fur, but Zero with her magic can dry all his fur in seconds, so Yohei is amazed by what she did because usually it could take half a day or more for the fur to dry, and they go out walking in the city and Yohei is upset with them, and they meet the merchant owner of the clothing shop, and he stops Zero to ask her opinion about the dress she bought and offers her another dress to try, and they meet the city guards while walking and stop to talk to them, and the guards tell them they did their job well as servants to Yohei, and they tell Yohei if you are going to hunt the witches then you must leave quickly, and after that they go to buy enough food for the road before leaving, and Yohei is upset with them because of what they said to the guards, and they wonder why he is annoyed at something so trivial even though he is a beast. And Zero goes to pay the man they bought food from with her jewelry, but Albus goes and pays instead with money. Zero asks him when did you learn to deal with money, and he replies casually I learned that from life itself, and Yohei is still upset and angry with them, and Zero talks about herself that she was born and grew up in a cave and was isolated from the outside world and knew nothing about it, and they leave the city, and as soon as they go out they find children in front of them. One of them is on the ground injured in his leg because of a beast that attacked them, so Zero asks Yohei to come heal the child, and Yohei takes something from his bag and puts it on the child's leg, and Zero uses this and heals the child's leg swelling quickly with magic before anyone notices, and she ties the leg fast, and the child stands up and finds her leg fine with nothing wrong, and the little child goes to Yohei and thanks him and gives him her necklace, but Yohei refuses to take it, so the child gets sad and starts crying, so Yohei takes the necklace and wears it, and they say goodbye and leave, and on the road they rest a little then continue, and they use Yohei's huge body to get them fruits from the trees, and after that Zero buys fruits from a woman passing and gives her one of the jewelry, and the sky rains after that, so they enter a cave to hide, and they try to teach Yohei magic but fail. The next day comes and daylight rises and they go out of the cave, and Zero tells Yohei she is happy she tried all these things, and if she was alone she couldn't have done any of them, and that she is happy he is with her, and Yohei tells her don't trust people easily, especially beasts like me, and Zero asks him if he is annoyed by talking with her, but he tells her he doesn't know how he should talk with her, because conversations between mercenaries are different from these conversations. They move again to continue their way, and Zero asks Albus how much is left to reach, and he replies about half the way is left, so Yohei tells them if they didn't wander around the city they would have arrived faster, and Albus tells Yohei he wants him to carry him like Zero, but Yohei refuses, and they go to a lake to try to fish to eat, and Zero with her magic can pull fish from the lake easily, so Albus tries to imitate her but fails, so Zero asks him if he had a problem with a certain part he didn't study from the magic book, and he replies yes indeed I have a problem though I'm good at the other parts, and she starts teaching him how to do like her, and that he must imagine the fish cooked in front of him and looks nice, and then try again to pull the fish from the water. He succeeds this time but soaks Yohei with water, so Albus mocks him because his fur shrinks again, so Yohei hits him on the head, and after that Yohei tries to light a fire but fails, and Zero helps him with her magic easily and lights the fire, and Yohei cooks the fish for them and they like his cooking very much, and he tells them he wants to open a restaurant in the future but when he becomes human, and Albus asks him, were you born like this? And how did you live all this time? Surely you faced many hardships in your life, and he replies, I forgot everything that passed. And you really, what about your parents now? And Albus replies, they died long ago. My mother was targeted during witch hunts, and my father tried to protect her but died with her. And my grandmother raised me, and Yohei tells him, so that's why you hate humans, but Albus replies, no, it's fine, my father was a normal human. But what I hate is the idea that all witches are evil. And Albus asks Zero about her parents and she replies, no one knows. I never met them at all. Maybe I'm the daughter of someone who lived in caves. We had everything to let us do research about magic, and I don't know who my parents are, but that didn't stop the research at all. And I continued studies and experiments normally, and we did many experiments in the academy where I learned magic, and Albus tells Yohei, don't you want to try learning magic? For example, you could learn healing magic, then you won't need to carry medicine again. And Yohei replies, no, I don't need to learn that, I have my muscles. So they laugh and mock him, and Zero tells him, you can learn basic magic, and I will train you myself, and then I'll have a reason to stay with you always. And Yohei gets shy from her words and stands and tells them, I don't want to learn magic ever. And the next day comes, and they continue their way to the village Latite, and Albus tells them the first thing they will try when they arrive is walnut bread. So Yohei tells him, don't forget, our main goal is to find the book, so we won't stay long there. And Albus tells them they must hide somewhere there until night comes, and he knows a friend with a kitchen that has an exit to the hideout where the book is, and his friend has a dog who knows him and loves him, and Albus finds that dog in front of him. And Yohei smells something burning, and they find that all the humans in the city are burned, and Albus moves quickly toward the city, and Yohei warns him to wait because the place is dangerous, but Zero tells him, don't worry, I will help you with my magic. They enter the village, and Yohei is surprised that despite the many burned corpses, the village itself is clean and nothing happened to it. So Zero tells him this is an enchantment called Phlagus that burns the intended target and its fire doesn't spread, and they pass by a house that is destroyed, so Yohei asks in wonder, was there a tornado in this house? Zero replies, no, this is an enchantment called Lamant that turns winds into blades and cuts tall trees and thus cuts human parts easily, and she tells him there is an enchantment called Redeus that turns rocks into dust, and another enchantment called a track where they use earth and wood to make a wall, and that could cause your death by suffocation. And Zero says that magic can also be used for evil deeds, and Albus is sitting crying over his friend who died, and at the same time Yohei goes to him to ask about the hideout here with the book, if it was also attacked by the witches. Albus replies that there is more than one group of witches. The stray witches. The group of witches of Zero was an open group, so anyone could join as long as he had talent, but there were people who used that magic for evil, and the stray witches after that were expelled from the group of Zero. They made their own group and attacked villages that had nothing to do with witch hunts, so Yohei says now he understands why people turn evil when they have power, and Albus says they came here to steal Zero's magic book, and Zero is surprised how the group of strays did this, although magic was stripped from them when they were expelled from the group, and that if the Zero group faced the strays, then who killed the strays? Yohei replies the conclusion from that is they killed each other, and suddenly someone shoots an arrow at them from afar, and Yohei tells them he will handle it, no one do anything, because in their condition now they would kill them, and he wants to interrogate them first, and Yohei attacks them and takes down two and catches one to interrogate him, and Albus jumps on the man Yohei is interrogating to kill him, but Zero stops him from what he is about to do, and tells him he might be innocent and didn't kill the people in the village, and then you would have killed him for no reason. The man tells Yohei that what happened was recent. There was a wizard walking in the village killing other witches, and Yohei asks him does he belong to any group, but he doesn't know. So Yohei asks where did he go, and the man replies he went to the castle, and they go to the castle, and the dog of Albus's friend is still following them, and Yohei is amazed that it's not afraid of a beast. So Zero uses this and takes the necklace the child gave to Yohei, and with her magic commands the dog to go search for those children and protect them, and they enter the castle and find all the people there dead, and Albus tells them the place of the hideout behind the wall, and he opens it with his magic, and they enter the hideout and don't find the book. So Yohei says, so we traveled all this distance for nothing. Maybe the stray witches stole it, and Zero replies it's possible that happened, or witches of the Zero group took it and ran away, and Albus tells them maybe it's in the secret room, so Zero opens it and they enter and still don't find the book. Zero asks Albus if Serena's granddaughter was among the dead, and he replies, I don't know. I didn't see her. Maybe she escaped, and as they walk in the hideout they find an old man lying on the ground wounded with many injuries, and Albus tries to heal him but can't, and the old man tells them that there was a tall wizard who entered the village, and the witches tried to attack him but he dismantled them, and that's not magic but he doesn't know what it is, and he asks Albus not to continue healing his wounds but to search for the the rest of their group and lead it himself, and the old man dies, and Zero is surprised by the way the witches in the castle were killed and that their magic was stripped before they died, and she tells them there is only one person who can do that, and Albus replies it's 13, no one else, and as soon as they say his name the ground pulls them down strongly, and Yohei finds himself in a place full of snow and people attacking him, and he kills them, but Zero helps him return and tells him to try to fix his feet and hold her hand and breathe calmly, and he asks her what was that, and she replies that was an enchantment and only 2 can do it, my teacher and 13, and 13 appears in front of them and tells them that anyone who says his name in this castle summons him, whoever they are, and Zero tells him because of you Yohei almost died if any mistake happened from you, and he tells her he didn't expect anyone to say his name. He asks Zero what made you leave the cave, and she replies sarcastically, I was alone so I decided to go out to see your sad face, and he tells her I said the outside world is full of dangers, and you promised me you would wait for me in the cave, and Albus interrupts them and says what is happening, and what's your relationship with 13, the one who betrayed all the witches, and 13 replies betrayed, I simply was organizing the chaos you created, and Albus tells what happened back then, that the group of Zero was demanding its rights to stop killing witches. But the king saw that they were rebelling against him and wanted to attack him and threaten the country. So he decided to face them with the same weapon, which is magic, and 13 is the one who faced them and wiped them all out. So Yohei asks him, and after all you did you find the books of the Zero group that you are looking for? So 13 gets angry at him and tells him don't say that name again and casts magic on him to kill him, but Zero saves him. And Zero tells 13 this is my mercenary, and if you hurt him even a scratch I will kill you, and she offers him to face her and he accepts the challenge, and they prepare and each one uses his power in fighting the other, and 13 tells her while fighting go back to the cave again, but Zero refuses and tells him I waited for you a lot and you didn't return, and you killed the witches in the village here, and that is a mistake I can never forgive you for, and Yohei decides to step in to stop what is happening. Before Yohei steps in to stop the fight between them, suddenly they stop and Yohei is surprised and asks them what is happening. Zero replies it's dinner time, we can't fight while hungry, and Yohei asks 13 where are we, and he replies we are in the royal capital Blasta, specifically inside the royal palace, and they sit to eat together, but Zero doesn't like the food and tells 13 that he took the good food and left her the bad food, and tells him humans have a high sense of taste, so I like food to taste good, and Yohei agrees with her and asks them are you friends? Zero replies no, we are from the same homeland, and I had no intention to fight but he started, and 13 replies what happened is because of your actions, and my attack was not aimed at your mercenary. It was aimed at Albus, but your mercenary is the one who blocked it and protected him. No one told him to protect and harm himself. Yohei asks Albus, aren't you going to eat? And he replies, what if this food is poisoned? So Yohei tells him no, it's not poisoned. I can know that because I'm a beast, but Albus doesn't believe him and still doesn't eat, and 13 offers them sweets after the food, and Zero loves the sweets very much and tells 13 why didn't you give me this from the start? And he tells her because naturally sweets come after food, and Zero tells him let's get to the point right away. You left the cave and went to search for Zero's magic book, but you used this matter to become the state's wizard, and he tells her I simply chose to make it easier for myself, because the person who stole Zero's magic book spread it all over the city of Winias, and this person is manipulating the Zero group and causing chaos in the kingdom, and I made a deal with the king that I will help him hunt witches and he will help me find Zero's magic book, and yet after all this effort he still hasn't led me to anything. Albus gets angry and doesn't like his words and tells him you are the cause of this chaos. The group of witches of Zero was protecting witches from being hunted, and 13 replies protecting who exactly? They were killing people to protect witches, and they only caused fear to people, and Albus replies angrily, and that was in our hands? Humans were the ones who didn't stop attacking us. Should we stand and watch them kill us? And 13 tells him, so you mean you didn't harm innocents or wrong anyone, and you believe your group is the group of justice? Then why is there war? Albus replies we were trying to stop this war, and 13 tells him because of your hypocrisy there are stray witches killing people in villages, and because of their existence the number of killed people became countless. Why do you refuse to admit the mistakes of your group? Yohei thinks about 13's words and understands that the witches are divided into 3 groups. One of them is the Zero group that wants peace between witches. The second group are those who used magic for evil, and they are the stray witches. And the state witches who hunt the 2 groups, and they are represented by 13. And 13 says that all witches cause harm and disorder, and we must control those who cause this chaos. And he asks Albus to help him in this, and in return he will give him knowledge and power, and if he refuses he will burn him at the stake. And Yohei objects to his words and tells him that's just a kid, how can he burn alive? 13 replies kid or not, that doesn't matter to me, his power is a threat to me. And he gives Albus time to think and decide, and he asks Zero to return to the cave until he finds the book, book and returns to her, but Zero refuses, and Albus asks them, was it really our leader who stole the book? And Zero replies, yes, your leader, you call him, is the one who stole my magic book and killed all the witches who lived in the cave and took the book to spread it among people. And he replies, but you are our ally, Zero, right? She tells him, I never said I'm your ally, not once. And Yohei asks, and she gives him the same answer, and Albus breaks into tears, and Yohei asks Zero, why did you write this magic book? Did you want to destroy the world? She replies, to make people's lives easier. I thought it would make them happy, and we agreed on this in the cave, and I wanted to go to the outside world, but they told me it's a horrible place for witches. So I thought if I developed power, everyone could use the outside world would accept witches. That's why I wrote the book, but probably I should have burned this book and listened to 13 when he told me it would destroy the world. The guards take Albus to imprison him, and Yohei goes to advise him not to be stubborn, because being burned at the stake surely is not an easy thing, and Zero asks 13, why didn't you let the mercenary come with me? And he tells her, you didn't make a contract with him, right? It's dangerous to employ a beast without making him your servant. And she tells him he chose to serve me willingly and told me his name so I can do that easily. And at the same time, Yohei goes to the room where he will stay and it's guarded, and Zero tells 13 that what he did in the castle is a big mistake, whatever the reason that made you do that, and he replies that all these problems will be solved when the book returns, and she tells him she will search for the book herself, and that this is her mistake and she must bear it, and if anyone's hands should get dirty in this matter, it will be mine. And Yohei is thinking that now he has no role and that Zero and 13 will become partners together. And Albus, after he finished his role to lead us to the hideout, Zero abandoned him. And there's no proof that Zero won't betray me like the others. And 13 summons Yohei using a mouse, and Yohei follows it until he reaches 13. And when he arrives, he asks him, can you control any animal? He replies, yes, anyone with a mind I can control. And he gives Yohei a magical potion and tells him once you drink it you will return human again. And Yohei is amazed and tells him this is the invention of the century. And he tells him, but I have a contract with Zero, so 13 replies, and what makes you take orders from a girl? And in the end, not even for money. And I gave you what she was going to do for you. And you can leave here now because Zero is a terrifying witch. Maybe she tricked you with her beauty. But if you get closer than this, you will be harmed. And Yohei tells him, but she said she is not interested in killing me, and 13 replies, and you didn't wonder about that. Zero summoned the highest demons to reach where she is now. In your opinion, what kind of sacrifices did Zero make? And he means beast heads because they are the most valuable thing, and he tells him surely Zero sees you as special, and the only reason you are still alive is there is benefit in using you. And remember how Zero looked at you the first time she saw you. And when you blocked for them when I attacked them in the hall, she confirmed Zero truly controls you, otherwise your natural instinct would make you run and you wouldn't risk your life for her. So Yohei tells him, shut up, you are talking nonsense. 13 tells him that's why she is using you and sees you as a rare animal, and that's why you must run away. And Yohei returns to his room, collects his things and leaves, and he finds Zero waiting for him at the door, and she tells him, you are leaving without me? Yohei stops and looks at her surprised and tells her, you caused me many problems, and raises the sword at her. And Zero understands that 13 tricked him with words to make him leave, and she tells him he always does these devilish ideas, and since you believed him, then you were doubting from the start that I might kill you. Even though I swore I wouldn't kill you and we have a contract, and she leaves him and walks away. Yohei walks and leaves the kingdom, and on his way he meets two guards who are talking about how they can't protect the kingdom, and that the number of guards is not enough for something like this. And they ask Yohei, you hunt witches, right? He replies, yes, I hunt them and hate them, because they are not humble and also liars. And Yohei walks through the city and finds a shop selling drinks and asks about its price. But the shop owner tells him, I give them free for beasts who help in hunting witches, and you can take one without money. And at the same time, while they are talking, a beast comes and takes a bottle from the man for free without paying. So Yohei hits him and breaks the bottle and leaves payment for the man and walks away. And a girl sees him doing this and offers him a drink in exchange for carrying a heavy barrel for her. So Yohei agrees and helps her and goes with her to the house and asks her, do you usually ask anyone to come help you at the house like this? She replies, my father is busy and no one helps me, and asks him, you are a mercenary, right? And where do you live? He says he plans to leave the city right now, so she tells him if you leave the city now you won't find a place to sleep, there are no stables. So he says that's fine, I'm used to that. So she tells him I can offer you a deal, but you have to wait for my father to return for dinner, especially since I cook well. And Yohei mocks her words about cooking well because her restaurant is empty and no one comes. And he asks her, you trust me? She replies, you look different from the others and you will pay. He asks her if she has cooking ingredients, and Yohei cooks for her and she is amazed by the food he made. And Yohei tells her he wants to open a restaurant in a rural village, but I won't do that until I become human again and open a restaurant and live a calm life and start over. And she tells him, but surely you have bigger dreams than that, like opening a big restaurant in a palace and all the people gather there. And surely you will have a beautiful wife like me. And night comes and Yohei asks her if all the beasts here in the city don't pay for anything. So she tells him yes, and that's that's what makes trade fail. But no one can do anything, and besides that no one has the power to face them, and she asks him if you can become human, why don't you do that? And he says because I don't want to get involved in problems. He leaves her and goes to sleep in the room for a while, and wakes up to the sound of breaking, and there are beasts in the restaurant breaking dishes because they want to eat and drink for free, and the girl's father arrives and she tells him there is a beast other than those upstairs. So he yells at her that she let him enter here and use the cooking tools and even sleep upstairs, and she tells him I did this better than being alone with him while hungry, and he gets the sudden frenzy and eats me like what happened with my mother, and that she did this with Yohei because she saw him hitting another beast for not paying, and her father asks her if he can drive out these beasts, so she says she will go call him but finds him standing in front of her, and Yohei goes out and hits the beasts and drives them out, and he leaves money for the girl for his stay and leaves. Yohei goes out of the city and goes to sit in the forest, and on the other side Albus is sitting thinking about what Zero said about his leader, and 13 comes to him asking if he thought and decided or not, and tells him that all witches of Zero will be executed soon except you, because you are still inexperienced and I can help you and guide you on the path, and Albus doesn't like the words and throws water in his face, and 13 tells him he will give him a last chance until tomorrow, and at the same time Yohei is sleeping in the forest, and someone approaches him, so Yohei tells him if you want to rob me take what you want and leave, but he replies no, I came to kill you, so Yohei stands and finds the wolf beast he beat and took the girls from him, and they brought with him witches and men to finish off Yohei and shoot arrows at him, but he tries to escape from them and blocks them, and at the same time the witches betray the wolf beast and shoot him with an arrow, and Yohei blocks the arrows and attacks from the witches, and at the same time Zero is facing 13 and tells him she will leave this place, and he tells her you think I will let you walk away from here, and she tells him I don't need your permission and starts to cast an enchantment, so he asks her to stop what she is doing or he will stop it by force. On the other side Yohei gets hit by an arrow that pierces him but nothing happens to him, and Zero is the one who is affected, and Yohei is surprised by what happened and doesn't understand anything, and he sees the wizard who shot the arrow trying to escape, and he gets the sudden frenzy and attacks him to eat him, but he remembers Zero's words to him and quickly comes back to his senses and lets him go and walks away, and as he walks he finds the wolf man begging him to save him from death. But Yohei ignores him and keeps walking until he says Serena told him to protect her granddaughter and he can't die now. So Yohei asks him, does Serena's granddaughter have Zero's magic book? He replies, how would I know? So Yohei leaves him, but before walking away the wolfman calls him again and tells him maybe she has it or she is the closest one to it. Yohei saves the wolfman and sits to treat his wounds, and at the same time the wolfman tells him his story and says I was a known knight in the royal palace. So Yohei asks in surprise, so you are from the upper class? He replies, yes, I was almost from that class, and I can't deny I lived the best life. And he tells him you saw how well I used the sword when I faced you, so he tells him no, I don't remember, and the wolfman continues, I was the third son of a noble family, so I had no inheritance right, and they forced me to become a guard, and an accident happened that ruined everything, and I got tired of running away, until a beautiful woman met me and I thought she would kill me, but she told me her name is Serena and titled the Witch of the Moon, and she gave me food and had a child with her, and I asked her if that child was her daughter, and she replies no, she is my granddaughter. Her father and mother died and I am the one raising her myself, and I asked her to let me stay with her for a while in exchange for serving her or cooking for her or even taking care of the child, but she told me she didn't need a weak servant, so I suggested to her to turn me into a beast, so she refused and told me to leave from here, but before I left the child clung to me, so Serena agreed that I become her servant and turned me into a beast, and since I became a beast I have not been worried that anyone would hunt me. Yohei tells him, aren't you worried about witches who would want to kill you? He replies, when I turned into a beast the situation was calm, so Yohei tells him indeed the rebellion by witches only happened recently, so he replies yes, and besides all witches now are weak and cannot turn a human into a beast, and the taxes of rich people are the only ones who buy beast heads, so Yohei understands from his words that Zero did not aim to kill him as 13 said, and at the same time 13 goes to Albus and asks him for the last time, will you join me or not? Think well about your answer, either you join and we eliminate the witches or I will burn you at the stake. So Albus tells him, aren't there witches other than me to ask them that? He tells him no, there is no one but you, and you should know the reason for my insistence on you. We return to the wolfman and he tells Yohei, I managed to live an easy life because I was the guard of Serena's granddaughter, until the villagers rebelled against Serena and decided to kill her because they thought she spread the plague and killed people, and I suggested to her that I kill them all, but she refused because then she would become an evil witch and prove what they thought, and she asked me to take her granddaughter and take care of her and run away quickly. And Serena was unjustly killed, but her granddaughter granddaughter swore she would avenge her and ran away from me, and I kept searching for her until I learned she joined the group of Witches of Zero. So Yohei tells him a short while ago I was searching for the Book of Witches of Zero in the group's hideout and Serena's granddaughter, and he escaped and the book disappeared. He never shows his face, so the book could be with him or with Serena's granddaughter. And he asks him, why were you searching for the Book of Witches of Zero? He replies, I wanted to present it as a gift to Zero. Even though I don't know if I bring her the book now, will she forgive me or not? On the other side, Zero wakes up after she took the arrow instead of Yohei and finds herself locked in a room after 13 treated her, and she tries with her magic to get out of the room but fails, because 13 has put a barrier on her to prevent her from leaving, and she remembers then the importance of Yohei being with her and that he could have gotten her out. And at the same time, the Wolfman tells Yohei that Serena was the opposite of the group of Witches of Zero, and believed that magic is a great thing but should not be spread wrongly. So he tells him Zero must hear these words, and he replies that's why he burned her at the stake. So Yohei replies in surprise, weren't the villagers who burned her because of the plague? He tells him maybe he is the reason behind the plague, and he is the reason for the misunderstanding of the villagers to make them kill Serena. On the other side, Albus tells 13, so you want to kill all witches, even the witches who ask for peace, because there are other witches who use magic for evil. That is not fair. He replies, the humans who use it are all equal, I cannot know the evil from the good. So Albus tells him, isn't it better to eliminate the stray witches first? So he replies, that is a slow method for us since the kingdom is at war. So he tells him, but after that humans and witches can coexist normally. 13 mocks his words and says, go summon your witches while you burn at the stake. And witches strive to achieve the best outcome, see how you will save yourself. At the same time, the Wolfman, while walking with Yohei, asks him what happened to Zero and tells him, when I smelled her scent in the restaurant it was incense and herbs, and witches usually have that smell. So he tells him, and didn't you smell that from me? So the wolf replies, beasts always have a strong smell, so I can't identify it. And a man with a horse cart passes by them, asking his driver to speed up a bit because they will miss the execution of the wizard. And when Yohei hears him, he remembers Albus, so he returns quickly to the kingdom. And the Wolfman tells him, how will you save your friend while all these people are here? He replies, I still don't know if he is my friend or not. When I know that, first I will see how to save him. So he tells him, I must search for Serena's granddaughter, I must not die here. And they raise the stake, so Yohei says it's the stupid child. And at the same time, the Wolfman tells him that's Serena's granddaughter. And Yohei is surprised and tells him that's a man, not a girl. But the Wolfman is sure that's Serena's granddaughter. And 13 stands in front of the people and tells them, today we will burn a wizard at the stake. Let no one feel sorry for him just because he is a child. Think of the number of people he killed, and the people he will kill in the future. I am a wizard and I use magic, but I will never use magic to harm people, and I will not allow anyone to harm people. And I promise you I will do my best to purify the country from any corrupt person. Wolfman tells Yohei, let's save Albus before it's too late. So he tells him this is the worst time we could appear. If Zero were here now, she would have helped us with her power. And Albus speaks and tells the citizens and witches present that he is Serena's grandchild and asks them to free him and eliminate 13, but no one cares about his words. And the guards go up to light the fire at the stake. So the wolf moves quickly to save Albus, and Yohei throws a bomb to distract the people, and the king orders his men to attack Yohei. And at the same time, the Wolfman catches Albus at the last moment, and they move to escape quickly from the guards. And before Yohei moves, 13 calls him and binds him with a rope, and the guards shoot arrows at him, but 13 stops them and tells them like that Zero will be harmed. So Yohei is surprised by his words but runs away from them, and the Wolfman waits for him with a cart, and Yohei jumps into it, and they move immediately. And Yohei asks who knew that Albus is Serena's granddaughter. He replies the wolf that 13 knew, and Yohei asks him to speed up a bit because the guards are chasing them, but he says the load is heavy so he can't. So Yohei grabs the load on the cart and throws it at the guards and takes them down, and a guard jumps onto the cart but hits a tree and falls, and the Wolfman tells Yohei, I have bad news for you. The horses are not listening to me, and the cart falls with them into the river, and they manage to get out of the water and look for a warm place for Serena's granddaughter. And at the same time, 13 orders the guards to watch them and bring them back alive. Yohei and the Wolfman find a place and sit there and light a fire so Albus can get warm, and the Wolfman asks Yohei about the sudden urge he felt when he was coming to kill him, so he replies, yes. Don't worry, I never ate anyone before. But why did Albus pretend all this time to be a man? So he replies, probably to hide from 13, because she would have a big problem if they discovered she carries Serena's blood. And Albus wakes up and the Wolfman runs to hug her happily, but she hits him hard because he surprised her, and Yohei asks her who knew you were a girl, so she tells him we lied to each other so now we're even. So he tells her, I don't care, the important thing now, where is the Zero magic book? Isn't it supposed to be with Serena's granddaughter? So she replies, it's not with me. Surely someone from the Witches of Zero took it from the hideout in the village. And he asks her then, why were you against 13? You wanted to die burned? And Albus tells him why she refused to join 13, and he understands that he killed the witches of 0 and the stray witches, and he tells her I side with him. Because humans won't understand the difference between witches. Any one of them to them is a killer. Albus tells them she will convince the witches of 0 to cooperate and defeat the stray witches and he who stole the book, so the Wolfman tells her impossible. It's not possible to defeat him, so Yohei asks, what do you mean it's not possible to defeat him? So Albus tells him the blood contract. The witches' contract, and all the witches signed it when they joined the 0 group, and that means anyone who betrays this contract will die. So Yohei tells her, so it means you can't do anything to him, and Albus heals the Wolfman's wounds with her magic, and she tells them the 0 book was made to help with things like healing, but apparently it will cause a war. So Yohei tells her if 0 didn't make this book, none of these things would have happened. So she tells him if 0 didn't invent it, there would be no magic, and there would be no witches. So maybe we can do that if 0 is with us. And they are surprised by her reaction, and she realizes she can draw 5 magic circles to surround the city of Winias. And if 0 refuses this circle, then magic will completely disappear from the kingdom. So Yohei says, I didn't understand what you're saying. But are you sure about this? So the Wolfman tells him if 0 is present, then this can surely happen. That we defeat the stray witches, and 13, and he, without hurting anyone. And Albus tells him that Serena said magic didn't spread the right way, but we can start over if we erase magic from Winias, but that's if 0 was with us. He asks her, so if 0 is with us, this plan will succeed, right? She replies 0 collapsed from 13's attack on her and he took her to a place I don't know where, and on the other side 0 asks 13 to let her out from the place where she is, and Yohei asks Albus where is 0 now, so she replies she was in an underground cell. But I don't know where he took her after that, and Albus asks Yohei if he has any hair from 0 or anything that belongs to her, to use it in the divination spell to locate people. Like the old woman when she used your fur to help us escape, and for this spell to work it needs something spiritual connected to that person, and Yohei and Albus remember the clothing shop where 0 exchanged her old clothes, and at the same time 13's guards discover their location, so Yohei throws a bomb at them and they run away, and the guards chase them and try to block them every moment with magic, but Albus tries to stop them with her magic until they reach a dead end, and Yohei asks the Wolfman to escape quickly before they destroy the place, and Yohei throws Albus to him, and Yohei climbs the rocky barrier and reaches them. They reach the village with the clothing merchant's shop, and he asks the guards to let him in because he's hungry, and the guards are afraid of the beast's sudden frenzy, so they let him in, and they go to the clothing merchant's shop. They find him hanging 0's outfit and staring at it. So they ask him to take it and give him money, but he gets angry and tells them no, take anything except this. So the Wolfman ties him up to get rid of his trouble, and he draws magic circles for Albus so she can do the spell, and Yohei is surprised that he knows how to draw magic circles, so he tells him anyone who worked with a witch for a long time knows how to draw them, and Albus starts performing the spell, and she tells them that 0 is in the royal palace in Plasta, at the top of the tower, so Yohei moves quickly to the tower, and at the same time Albus and the Wolfman move to draw the circles that will surround the city of Winias, and she tells him 13 won't leave them alone after Yohei rescues 0, and Yohei reaches the tower and remembers what the Wolfman said, that no human can reach the tower, and the guards are strong in the morning, so Yohei heads toward the mountain with the tower and starts climbing it with his strength, but his hand slips, but he catches himself and continues again. And on the other side Albus, while drawing the circles, finds the witches of 0 group, and they tell her that he is the one who told them her location, and said you will be here after you escaped the execution decision, and they tell her aren't you the one who wants to end this war? Soon will be the time of the last battle, and we will destroy the kingdom of Plasta, so she tells them no, and since I am from the bloodline of the witch Serena, and a member of the 0 group, I want to seal the magic that burns the kingdom. They tell her, even if you are Serena's granddaughter, from this moment you are considered a traitor, and your fate will be decided by a trial that the witches of 0 will hold, and you can explain what you want in the trial, and the Wolfman tells her there is no use running, and they surrender themselves to the witches and they arrest them, and they erase the circles that Albus had drawn. Yohei reaches the place where 0 is, but he finds no window or any opening to enter from, so he breaks the ceiling and drops into the room, and when 0 sees him she asks what brought you here. He replies I'm here to save you, so she tells him who asked you to do that, and who hired you this time. He replies I'm not hired by anyone. I came here by my own will, so she tells him leave, I don't need you to save me, and he says it's not that easy. I spent a long time climbing this mountain, and my hand got ruined because of that, and she tells him go back where you came from, and she gets angry at him and tells him why didn't you understand it was a trap 13 set for you. He asks a trap, what does that mean? And she tells him I don't need to explain anything to you anymore, you're no longer my mercenary, and our contract is over. So Yohei interrupts, you can't end it as you please, and she tells him you're the one who tried to run first, and he says yes, and that's because 13 from your homeland deceived me. She tells him no, the reason is simpler than that. You were afraid of me and still are, so he tells her you're right, but convincing a beast not to fear a witch is impossible, and a mercenary not to doubt others when they say he'll die is also impossible, but my mind made me return to you in the end. So can you think about all that and forgive me? Zero breaks down crying and tells him, do you know how I felt when I let you go? Or when 13 took you from me? Do you know how upset I was? It would have been easy for me to bind you to me, but you hated witches, and you were afraid of me, so I let you go. What brought you back again? And she cries and tells him don't leave me again and go. And Yohei asks, how long will you keep crying? She gets angry at him and tells him your heart is hard, instead of comforting me. But before he continues, 13 has set a trap and summons them. On the other side, the witches of the Zero group interrogate Albus and the Wolfman and reject Albus's request to seal the magic and end the city. But she tells them she will spread magic anew, and that's what Serena wanted to do. But they don't care about her words. And on the other side, 13 tells Zero to close her eyes until he kills Yohei and erases his memory from her mind. But Zero gets angry at him and tells him, I won't let you do that. And she tries to get out of the cage he imprisoned her in, but she can't because of the magic barrier he made. And Yohei tells him you can deal with all this without killing all witches if Zero refuses to use magic in the city of Winias. The rebellion of the Zero witches and the stray witches will end. And after that you can take Zero's magic book from the person nicknamed him and let me and Zero go. But 13 refuses and tells him I don't need Zero to leave nor for her to cancel magic. And Yohei tells him think about it, you need to find Zero's magic book as fast as possible. And Zero replies you understand wrong. 13 doesn't want Zero's magic book nor the chaos in the city of Winias. This is all a small part of what he wants to execute in his mind. So Yohei gets angry at her and tells her explain it to me in an easier way. And he tells her you told me the reason 13 left the cave was to return the stolen Zero magic book. But suddenly he finds 13 holding the book in his hand, and Zero tells him to remove the fear in people's hearts of witches. First the evil witches must exist, then reveal them, and after that eliminate them. And 13 is him, the man with hidden name and face, and he used Zero's magic book to spread magic in the country, and then made the Zero group start the witches' rebellion. And at the same time he became the state wizard to oppose those witches and settled in the palace. So Yohei replies, so him and the state wizard are the same person? Zero tells him yes, and Zero's magic book was never stolen in the first place. At the same time, the Zero Witches group sentenced the Wolfman to death to benefit from parts of his body and increase their power, but the man doesn't kill him and unties him and gives him a sword and lets him escape. We return to 13 and Yohei asks him, so all this is part of your plan? And you are the cause of all this? And Yohei runs toward him, but 13 stops him with the power of his magic and tells him I told you before I can control anything with mental capacity, and you can't do anything now, especially when you're angry, and the angrier you get the more your wits will drop. And Yohei tells him, so the Zero Witches rebellion and the stray witches, you made all that? He replies, let me clarify. Yes, I contributed to this happening, but the witches made that decision themselves without me forcing them, and the rebellion would have happened anyway in the future. I only hastened its arrival. And I will correct something. Zero also said I didn't incite the Zero Witches to act. I only spread magic in Winias, and they could have acted better and coexisted with humans. Zero tells him, so you want me to believe they chose the path of corruption themselves? He replies, yes, and they did it in the worst way by betraying human trust and avenging Serena, and because of that I was forced to play the role of the state wizard, and I gave the group the name Zero so they would rule the kingdom justly. But the opposite happened, and building a new kingdom during war is difficult, and you were supposed to wait for me in the cave until I build the new kingdom. You wanted everyone to live a comfortable life through Zero's magic book, and I told you that magic is an art that can destroy the world, and yet you wrote the Zero magic book. And Yohei tells him you're definitely insane, and 13 tells Zero the witches who followed Serena will come soon to kill me, and I am him, the person they swore loyalty to by a blood contract, and the power of their contract will destroy them. And she is shocked by his plan to kill all witches, and she tells him you want to kill the elder witches full of wisdom and the young witches who are all hope because of me? And Yohei asks about Serena and tells him you started this plague and killed the villagers? He replies, no, that's not the truth. I didn't start the plague. It was an unexpected result of a magical experiment, and Serena performed rituals to save the villagers, but they unjustly killed her in the end. And Yohei tells him you killed Albus's parents and the witches who were in the cave, and he replies they spent all the time time in the cave discussing the same arguments. Zero was the only one different from them, and their life or death wouldn't change anything. Zero was the only one who suggested we must see the outside world. But they were afraid of Zero's power and didn't want to leave her alone, and Yohei gets angry and manages to stand and move and runs toward him, and 13 can't stop him. And Yohei takes out the magic potion 13 gave him and throws it at the cage Zero is in and frees her, and Zero steps out of the cage and tells 13, "You think you can defeat me? You forgot who I am," and they face each other. Yohei stands to face 13, but Zero is the one who gets hurt instead of him, and 13 remembers his memories with Zero when she was young in the cave when he taught her magic, and she told him she wanted to write a book like those books and change the world, and she actually started writing it until in the end it became the Zero Magic Book. And Yohei asks 13 what happened to Yohei, and he tells him that she is taking the wounds instead of him, and that she drew a cursed symbol on him so that would happen, and Yohei remembers when Zero drew the symbol on him, and he starts to understand why he wasn't injured at all recently, and that's because Zero was taking the hits for him, and Yohei speaks to her while she's unconscious and says, "What were you thinking when you did that? I'm supposed to protect you, not the other way around." On the other side, the Zero Witches group move with Albus, and they receive a message and learn the rest of the group is gathered in the kingdom, and that finally they will be able to kill 13 and return Serena's right, and Albus tells them, "You really think you can win?" They tell her, "With him's directions and guidance we can surely win," and she tells them 13 must be expecting your attack and will trap you, and they tell her everything will end when we kill him, and they say we great witches can surely defeat humans. They ask her where she was when the attack on the village happened, so she answers, "I was moving from place to place." So they tell her, "You left without telling anyone at the time we needed you most," so she tells them, "I had to be stronger to represent you for real," so they tell her, "You don't need strength to be like us. You need steady resolve to lead the group, and you don't have that." Zero wakes up after she was unconscious, and she asks them, "Why are you looking at me like that?" And Yohei asks her if she's okay, and she tells him yes, and that's thanks to the harm passing through your body first before reaching me, and that made me not take big damage. And I couldn't control my power, and without your help I would have killed 13. And 13 is surprised and tells her, "So you weren't using all your power?" She tells him it's not about who is stronger, but who has greater craft, and I wrote wrong spells in the Zero Magic Book on purpose in many of them, and a person can't show true magic power with incorrect spells, and that means you can't defeat me using magic from the Zero Magic Book, and that's because I'm an exceptional witch and must always be ready to defend myself. And now your plans are exposed, and I will seal the magic from the kingdom of Winias and put an end to the Zero Magic Book. And what will you do? He tells her, "I was trying to take over the city to present it to you as a gift. That's what I wanted to do. But as long as you don't want that, then fine. I'll do whatever you order me to do." On the other side in the Zero Witches camp, their leader says, "Our spies brought reports saying the stray witches have the advantage in entering the city." And suddenly a voice comes telling them knights are coming to attack the camp. But that's a trap by the Wolfman to help Albus escape. And the witches discover it and chase them. But Albus escapes them with her magic, and they capture one of them and tie him to a tree. And he tells Albus she's a traitor because he thinks she followed 13, who killed the Zero Witches group, and they move before being chased again to draw the magic circles. At the same time, Zero asks them where to head first, so 13 tells her that at the moment all witches are coming from everywhere to kill me, and 13 can see their movements and watch them through a chain tied to their necks, and he tells them that Serena's granddaughter is about to be killed because witches are hunting her, and Yohei and Zero move quickly to reach her, and the man who was tied to the tree returns to his group and informs them of what Albus intends to do. So the leader tells him, "We'll continue our plans normally, but we'll send monsters to finish them off." At the same time, witches surround the Wolfman and Albus everywhere to kill them, but Zero arrives at the right time and with her power repels the magic and saves Albus and the Wolfman, and 13 helps them to defeat these witches. But Albus and the Wolfman are surprised by 13's presence with them, so Yohei tells them to calm down and he'll explain everything, and Zero tells them, "I'll explain simply. 13 is responsible for all that happened, but now he has joined our side, and he was playing the role of evil and good at the same time. He was helping hunt witches as the state wizard, and at the same time he was controlling the Zero group he originally created." Albus is shocked when she learns he founded the Zero group and she can't believe it, and 13 tells her, "Yes, I am the founder of the Zero group, and in short I am him, the one you follow," and she tells him that's a lie, impossible, and he tells her as him, "I gave each one of the Zero group a chain with a gem to watch them through," and Yohei tells them that 13 is now on our side and will help us in Zero's plan to repel magic from all of Winias. But at the same time the Wolfman attacks him and hits him hard because he almost burned Albus and because he is the cause of spreading the plague and killing Serena, but Yohei stops him from what he's doing, and 13 explains that's not true and the reason for spreading the plague was a magical experiment by a novice wizard. So Zero tells them it would be wrong to put the blame of the plague on 13, so the Wolfman gets angry at them and tells them, "Whose side are you on?" Zero replies, "I'm not on anyone's side. I'm saying the truth," and Albus takes takes off the chain and throws it on the ground and says it's 13's fault from the start because he brought magic to the city of Winias in the first place and killed my grandmother, and he apologizes and tells her I really caused Serena's death but indirectly, and Albus starts to cast a spell on him to kill him, but he stops her before she does that and takes out a book and tells her here is a mutual contract between me, meaning him, and the Zero group members, and as long as it exists you can't harm me, and you will die, and that's because of the contract's terms, and he holds her hands and puts them on the book and brings out the contract and burns it, and tells her now you can kill me freely, and I have no problem dying at your hand, but I want you to give me a chance to fix my mistake. He tells her through the gems by which he watches the witches. He learned that the plague spread because of beginner witches, and magic could have saved the villagers, but they would have doubted Serena if she did that. And because of that he thought Serena would let the villagers die. But what happened was the opposite, and the wolfman cuts him and says Serena sacrificed herself and burned at the stake to save me and Albus. So he replies the matter didn't end there. Serena was a very wise witch, and she knew her death would cause the witches' rebellion, which at the same time would lead to war in the city. And if she knew all that, then why did she abandon us? So Albus answers, so you mean my grandmother is behind the war? He tells her I don't mean that. I say that as long as she knew war would happen, then surely she had a plan for it. Yohei interrupts them and tells them I think there are more important things we should do now, and Zero tells them Yohei is right. Witches always aim to achieve the best result for themselves. Don't let your feelings control you, and she asks Albus how many circles did you draw, so she tells her I drew one and the Zero witches destroyed one. So we need to draw 4, and Yohei tells them we have no choice but to split up. Me and Zero and 13 will go to the far circles, and the Wolfman and Albus will go to the near circles, and Zero tells them when you finish drawing the circles we meet at the center of the star, and Yohei stops Albus before she leaves and tells her I'll wait for you to come back, don't abandon us. We need your strength. Each of them draws the circle and returns to the place they agreed except Albus, who hasn't returned yet, and on the other side the witches attack the kingdom and try to break in, and the guards try to stop them, and their commander orders that civilians and archers deal with the witches, and asks why the help coming from the capital is late. One of the guards tells him the capital itself is under attack. The witches enter the kingdom and their group leader orders them not to touch the civilians, and their goal is only 13, and at the same time the guards inform the king that they searched for 13 everywhere and didn't find him, and they offer the king to escape through the underground hideouts, but he refuses, and on the other side the Wolfman when he returns attacks 13, knocking him to the ground and points the sword toward his face, but 13 tricks him with words and tells him the wolf spirit in you is a noble spirit. I feel Serena's greatness in you, and I regret that her actions caused her death, and the Wolfman with rage strikes the sword into the ground beside 13's head and tells him witches live long lives, for tens and hundreds of years, so I'll let you live with your regret, and that will be your punishment. Zero tells them we will perform the sealing ritual until Albus returns, and they ask Yohei and the Wolfman to protect them during the time, and they find a large group of witches standing on top of the mountain and sending wild beasts at them, and Yohei tells the Wolfman help me, I'm counting on you, and a big bear attacks Yohei, knocking away his sword, but Yohei quickly takes out his knife and kills it, and the Wolfman tries to get rid of the wolves surrounding him, and Yohei grabs a big beast by its horns and flips it to the ground, killing it, and at the same time the witches on the mountain start shooting many arrows at them, and Yohei and the Wolfman run, but 13 catches up and builds a huge stone wall blocking all the arrows. On the other side the witches group goes to the king's castle, and their leader says something is strange. I can't feel 13's magic presence, so one of the witches answers maybe he hid it, but we must carry out what him ordered us, and the guards tell their commander they are in danger because the guards are demanding to hand over the state wizard, so he tells them, and how will we hand over someone who's not here? And a guard suggests letting them withdraw peacefully, but the commander refuses that. He tells him this is the only chance to defeat the witches, and the witches leader orders his group to attack the castle and kill 13. At the same time Yohei tries to get rid of the endless wild beasts, and suddenly he looks around and finds a huge number of boars surrounding them from everywhere, and he asks Zero how long until you finish, so she answers we finished only waiting for Albus to come, and at that moment Albus comes in and tells them she was lost, and she looks at 13 and says I'm not forgiving you for what you did, but I'm a witch, I'll use you to end the war my grandmother didn't want to start, and Yohei asks them to hurry up a little, but Zero says to summon the demon that guards the Zero book. We must give a big offering, and she tells him we can use your head as an offering even if it's still attached to your body. So let me do it. I surely won't hurt you or kill you. Trust me. So he says no, I refuse. But if you ask better, maybe I'll agree. Yohei agrees, and Zero begins the ritual of rejecting magic and asks the demon to hear her words, and that she refuses the use of magic in this land with all the power she has, and the magic ends in the land, and 13 says chaos will continue in the land for a while after the magic is erased from the city. So Albus answers, I'll improve myself to become their new leader. And I'll make the city live with humans and witches together under my control since I'm Serena's granddaughter. And he tells her Serena didn't choose death for war to start, but she wanted a future where witches and humans lived together. I wished I could meet her just once. Yohei wakes up and Zero is sitting waiting for him, and he tells her he feels like a demon possessed his body, and she tells him you were asleep for 3 days, and he's surprised she stayed waiting for him for 3 days, and she tells him I'm glad you're safe. And the kingdom is holding a festival to celebrate the extermination of witches, and I finally recovered the Zero magic book, and he tells her you're not forgetting our deal for sure. Turn me back human, so she tells him I can't return you now, because I summoned a demon during the sealing ritual. That made your physical soul merge stronger with the beast's soul. Also my boundless magic power weakened a bit and will take time to return to normal. And he tells her, but that's not what we agreed. And she tells him, I didn't say I won't do what we agreed, I just want you to wait for a while, and during this time you'll protect me too. And he's surprised and says, so after you return to your place you'll go somewhere else? And she replies, yes, magic reached the city of Winias 10 years ago, so naturally it spread to other places, and it's my duty and responsibility to erase this magic since I created it. And in the current situation it's dangerous for a witch to travel alone, so he asks will he get payment for protecting her? After a while, the kingdom holds a festival to celebrate peace between humans and witches, and Albus became the state witch and burned 13 at the stake. And Albus tells the citizens, I won't allow another witch to burn at the stake, nor allow any more humans to die, and I promise I'll do all I can to protect the kingdom. And 13 is tied at the stake and tells her, I repeat my words, I have no problem dying at your hand. So she answers, but I won't do that. The Zero magic book was the beginning, but in the future there will be new kinds of magic. I don't know when that will happen, but when the time comes you must be alive. And 13 escapes, and they don't burn him, and Yohei tells him, don't worry, I'll take care of your sister, meaning Zero. And he replies, this is a warning for you. If Zero ends up hating the outside world, I'll destroy it all. And Zero's rejection of magic in the kingdom was temporary, and at the same time there was another world without law not strong enough to resist witches. And because of that, a magical educational program started to handle the problems in the city of Winias. In the end, just as 13 planned, the first program for the state wizard was created. And so the war ended in Winias. The Wolfman gives Yohei and Zero a travel permit, and Albus says I also want to travel, so the Wolfman replies you can't, you're the head of the state witches now. And 13 asks Zero, don't you intend to return to the cave? So she answers, never, I will travel with Yohei. So he tells her, and I'll continue watching the witches in this world and do what I can to help the state witch. And Yohei and Zero say goodbye to Albus and leave.